But basically in this, we're going to talk about opening strategy. So kind of what the mindset is, what the goals are, what the approach is. And then we're going to get pretty specific here as well. So we're going to talk about the different looting and shopping routes for each of the normal opening locations. So like we'll go through, we'll show exactly like where I go. Everybody is a little different, but I think I do a decent opening routine. And then we'll talk about some other opening seed start topics. So we'll touch on the Colosseum, we'll talk about the Zen Thief, we'll talk about stuff like that. But broadly speaking, so before we even get into the game here, and we're going to get in and there's going to be a lot of pausing. I didn't even put my little timer up because we're not keeping time on this, but broadly speaking, good opening strategy is flexible. You want to try to not be rigid. So when you're starting out in Worlds Collide, it's very okay to have like a very rigid opener. I had one, most people had one, where you kind of come up in a routine. It's like, okay, every time a seed starts, I'm going to Narshe, then Returners, then South Figaro, then Zen, and then I'm done, right? You have this sort of routine, and like routines are good. It's good to have repetition in this game. It's good to sort of have patterns. I mean, this is not a game, there's a lot of improvisation in Worlds Collide, but there's also a lot of repetition. So it's good to sort of have that so that you can go on autopilot while you're doing their opening. But the sooner you transition from a very rigid set opening plan into adjusting your plan based on what the seed gives you, the faster you'll be able to get seeds going. So you really want to be able to see what's going on in your opening, see what's going on in your party, and then adjust and, you know, tailor the plan accordingly. Ultimately, the opening is done when you're strong enough to reliably kill most bosses quickly. So basically you've got one or more people who can do strong single target damage, or you have the ability to clear fixed encounters quickly. So that usually means you have decent multi-target damage. And you have an option to, usually you can start a check that takes advantage of that. So talking about something like Imperial Camp or Serpent Trench. But basically, if you finish your looting, if you can take down a boss, or like at some point when you can take down a boss, you're probably done with shopping and looting. Otherwise, you just want some way to clear fights so that you can get XP and just get strong, and then you can just sort of muscle through bosses. All right, let's go to the next screen. Hey, let's get out of this. So this is where it all starts. We haven't even started the seed yet, and there's already a couple things we can do. So before we start, we're going to go to the config menu. You can, let's assume you're doing Ultros League. You don't have to look at the objectives and flags if it's a seed you know. If you don't know it, you know, learn to read your objectives and stuff. We're not going to go through all this, but, you know, objectives, flags, they're all here. Most events, there's usually, if it's not Ultros League, there's usually like infographics and stuff people put together to talk about what the flag sets do. Usually the goofball that makes the rules document puts some descriptions in the rules doc as well about what the flag sets do. So there's usually help there. But first thing, before I do any seed, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to set this thing right here to memory. So you don't have to do this. If you really prefer reset, you can do it. So the difference here, for those who don't know, cursor reset means that every time you come back to a menu, you're right at the top of that menu. So if I was in a fight and in round 1 with Cyan, I picked magic and cast bolt, then the next time when I come to the menu, if it's in reset, my cursor's going to be on fight. If it's on memory, then my cursor is going to be on magic when Cyan's next turn comes around. And if I hit A to go into the magic menu, my cursor is already going to be on bolt. So the advantage here is this enables whole day strats. You know, if you're having any fight where there's multiple rounds, you often are doing the same thing every round of that fight. There's exceptions to this. Obviously, Final Kefka is a good example where in the Final Kefka fight, you're often doing different things from round to round because you've got to react to a lot of crap that awful boss is throwing at you. But for the most part, in a lot of this game, you're doing fairly repetitious actions. You know, if you're fighting Atma Weapon, for instance, you're probably just spamming, like if I'm a caster, I'm probably spamming Fire 3 or Bolt 3 or something. And I'm probably, you know, just swinging away with my, I was going to say Illumina. You don't want to use Illuminas against certain Atma weapons, but, you know, you're just doing the same thing. So with cursor on memory, it allows you to do whole day strats. It'll probably save you seconds over the course of a seed. There is a bit of a learning curve. If you've never used memory before, you'll probably end up miscuing stuff once in a while, but I would strongly recommend play on memory, get used to it. Again, there will be people who argue that they don't like it, they don't want to use it. That's okay. You don't have to. You should. I would humbly suggest you should, but if you don't want to, You don't have to. I'm not the boss of you. Everything else here should be preset. This should already be set to weight. This should already be set to 6. This should already be set to 1. If they're not set to that, set them to that. There's no good reason not to do this. There's exactly one time in a seed where you might want to set some of these things differently. And that's if you're fighting Zone Eater and you want Zone Eater to take his turns faster, you can always set this to 1 there. It's probably not worth the time going to the menu. So just forget I said that. In general, weight, 6, and 1, use the defaults. Everything else in here you don't have to touch. There are some folks who prefer short to window on the command set. There's some debate. I don't think it saves you much time. You'd have to learn the different ways. So short is where instead of in window you've got in a combat menu you've got fight, magic, fight, whatever their second command is, like blitz, magic, item. Short is where it's like in a diamond shape where you've got like fight, blitz, magic, item. You might be able to save a couple inputs over the course of the seed with short. However, it's not going to be that big of a difference. Like we're talking, it's going to save you, like occasionally you're going to hit down on a D-pad once instead of twice, especially with memory, meaning you're not moving your cursor that much. It's not going to be a big difference. So whatever you're more comfortable with. I've used window forever. I don't love the look of short. If you love short, if you think short is more comfortable or you can do things a little faster, use short. It's totally up to you. Make the game your own. And all this, obviously you got to pick like the most stylish window you can. We'll keep it plain and vanilla for this, but set this up while you're waiting for the race to start. Get in your comfort zone. This one too, magic order, I usually leave it at default. However, there's an argument to be doing something like attack healing effect. So this means that your attack spells will be right at the top. However, usually if I'm in a hurry and want to get something critical out of my magic menu, it's usually Cure 3 or Life 2. So I like the default order. Plus I've been, like many of us, I've been playing it with this order since 1994. So I can't change now if I wanted to. That's it. So that's what I do before I even start the seed. And then we get into it. So quick thing before we get into this here, we are going to be holding left as I hit new game, and I will reset through to show why this is important. So first I'm going to hit new game and I'm going to be spamming the X button because I want to get in the menu as quickly as possible, and you'll see a little bit of an issue here. So new game, go. Okay, I'm hitting X, 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 X. The game is fading in. And now I go in the menu. So not super fast, right? Now let's do this again. And this time I'm going to hold left while I hit new game. And you see, as we're fading in, I'm already moving left. So this is going to save you about a second on each of your seeds. This is like a micro optimization. You don't need to sweat this, but during the little fade in, the game won't accept commands to go into the menu, but it will accept D-pad commands, and you have to go to the steering wheel. So if you hold left while you're hitting the new game button, you can already be standing by the steering wheel by the time the game's ready to take inputs. That'll save you probably less than a full second per seed, but hey, you know what? It's a cute little trick, and it makes sure that you're going as fast as you can. Okay, so we started the seed, and this right here is like where you would take your first step. So I mean, if we had a timer going, I'd pause my timer right now because we're going to talk about this, but this is it. Before we get too far into, we'll just go in. Okay, so right here, we're gonna go into our menu. Oops, that's not the menu we want to go. So you hit X, first thing. You can hit the menu after you land. You can hit the menu before you land. I usually do it on the deck of the airship just to be done with it. And we're gonna go in the status menu. So lots of information on this screen, and I don't care about almost any of it. So when I'm looking at the screen, that's all I'm looking at. That's really cropped, but you get the idea. So that's it. I'm not really looking at anything else. I'm looking at the character's name too, because I want to kind of have an idea of what they're good at. But these are the things that I care about on the screen. I care about their magic power, I care about their ability, and I care about whether they have natural magic or not. And I don't even really care about whether they have natural magic or not. Really, I'm looking at their magic power and I'm looking at their commands. So these are the things that are going to really impact how you're going to use that character, what that character is going to be good for, what you need to worry about with that character. Speed, I don't care about. I know that Realm's going to be reasonably fast. I know that Cyan's going to be reasonably slow. I know Strago's going to be really slow too. Stamina, I definitely don't care about stamina. Nothing about Realm stamina is going to affect how I'm going to use for my party. I'm not going to say, oof, Realm, only 18 stamina, you're out of there. Vigor, I don't even care about Vigor. Even if that command up in the top right was Sword Tech, I don't usually really care about Vigor. Vigor just isn't that important when it comes to most formulas. In fact, Sword Tech is maybe one of the few times where it does really matter, but otherwise, if Realm's Fate was to be an Illumina user or a VK user or something like that, her Vigor honestly doesn't make that huge of a difference. You know, especially if they have decent magic power, the procs are going to work out in the end anyway. So, and you take all this information in 0.07 seconds. I try. I do try. But this is how I do it fast, because I'm only looking, my eyes are looking at these two spots. I'm going, good magic power, Magitech, good magic power tools, good magic or bad magic power, and blitz. I don't have any natural magic users. I don't have to think about that. And I know that Cyan has low magic power and blitz. So like Cyan not looking like a hot guy. No, Cyan's always looking like a hot guy, but not looking like a hot option for this seed. But we know a few things now. We know that we have 3 abilities that all use magic power, as most do in this game. So Magitech, obviously we have magic power need for that. Tools, I mean, one of the top tools is Flash. That's magic power based. Also a good way to clear fixed encounters at the beginning, because it can clear a lot of monsters at once. And Blitz, you know, we know that other than Pummel, we're basically looking at magic power based abilities here as well. So surprise, just like almost every other seed, everything is magic power based. But that's what I'm looking at when I open up the game. So you want to do this before you start shopping and looting, because this is going to really tell you, I turn that off. This is really going to tell you, do I have strong abilities and I can tolerate a little more scaling, or do I have weak abilities and I can tolerate kind of less scaling? Do I have abilities that need specific items to enable? So if I have a throw user, I know that I need to, you know, get throwables. Do I have magic based abilities? We know that we have a couple here. So we know that we need earrings. Like our Magitech user, even though she has magic power 48, to really make her sing, she's going to need earrings. You know, our Blitz user, if we're going to try to get any kind of mileage out of Cyan, he's going to need earrings. Do we have a jumper? We don't have a natural jumper here. If we do, then we know that we're probably going to be looking to acquire dragon horns or gauntlets or spears or dice if we see them. Do we have a tools user? We have a tools user. So now we know that if we see a BioBlast, well, that's a bad example. We know that if we see a flash or an air anchor or something like that, we're going to want to buy that tool. So this is why you really want to look at these abilities and look at what you're dealing with before you start doing your shopping. A couple other things, if we saw lores and rages, I don't usually check the lore and rage list before I go into the seed. Basically, you can check your lores and you can check your rages when you're in that first fight. You know, basically the first time you get an encounter, especially if it's not a boss, queue the first person up, go to your rage user, scour through their list. Hopefully you remember what many of the good rages are. If my party kind of sucks, then I might look at the rage and lore list just to see if they're a viable option. So like if we had Realm with lore and then we had Strago with runic and Cyan with steel or something, I'd probably look at that lore list to see, is there anything here that's going to actually let me get in? Do I have Grand Train? Do I have Arrow? Do I have something that's actually going to let me win fights at some point? Otherwise, we know we're super weak. Same with Rage. So if my options were all kind of bad, then I'm going to look at Rage and say, okay, do I have a, you know, like a Rain Man or something that will give me tier 3 magic, or something that will give me an Arrow Rage or something like that, or a Stray Cat, you know, there's always Stray Cat too, or Luridan or Prussian. Luridan and Prussian are usually the ones I'm really looking for. Same with Dance. I don't usually look at Dance abilities. If I'm half curious, I'll usually blind test a dance in my first fight and see what I get out of it and try to judge whether it's a good dance or not based on that. But again, if my opening cast here is garbage and dance is like the only way I think I have to get into the seed, I'll check what the dance abilities are. And of course, you probably all know this, but to do that, you just go into skills and go into your dance and you'll see the options there. Yeah, while you're looking at these status menus as well, if you have Gogo, this is a great time to go set his abilities. Try to do it right away. You know, you don't have to, you can always go back and change it later, but I always give Gogo magic. I always give Gogo item. Item's the best command in the game. Gogo's ability to use everybody's magic is always good. And then I'll give him one other ability. I usually put it in that second slot, so I'm not having to like think differently, because every other character in the game has fight, X magic and items, so I want Gogo to be that way so I don't have my muscle memory screwed up. And I'll usually just take the most promising ability I have. So like in this, we can't give him Magitech, unfortunately, so like I'd probably give him I'd probably give him Blitz. Which, yeah, you could maybe give him tools if you want, but it wouldn't really matter. Used Daedalus last night. Had to take off an earring to put on a rage ring to work. Yeah, Daedalus, good rage. Okay, the other thing you're going to do in these menus, you're going to equip the relic, or equip the Moogle Charm, and I basically just put this on whoever's at the top of my list. I can always fix it later. The important thing is get that Moogle Charm on somebody, because you don't want to start running around accidentally getting a fight when you're not planning on. And how I do this, I'm just going to mash the A button, and that gets the Moogle Charm on, because if you are starting a normal seed, Moogle Charm's the only thing in your inventory. You just keep hitting A, you're just going to put a relic in that first slot on that first person. So that's going to be a Moogle Charm. So again, like let's say here I am, boom, A, and I've got a Moogle Charm on. That's as much thinking about it as I want to do. Again, I can tweak. I can always decide later that like in this lineup, realistically, we probably want the Moogle Charm on Cyan because he's the least useful of our 3 people. But, you know, just in the interest of getting it on there so I don't get in a stupid fight and get like a minute time loss because I ran into some Inox that I wasn't planning on fighting, get that Moogle Charm on there. Last thing to do before we leave this menu, because we're never coming back for a while. Shove everybody in the back row. I don't care what their command is. I don't care what it says on any of their screens. They can have 1,000 vigor and somehow have started with 10,000 HP. Shove them all in the back. There's like 2 or 3 offenses in this game that want to be in the front row. Otherwise, everybody wants to be in the back. So stick them in the back. You can fix them all later. You could leave Umaro in the front if you want. Otherwise, stick them all in the back. So we're done with the menu now. Until the end of looting and shopping, other than saving before flying in the World of Ruin, that's it for menu time. We don't need to go back into that menu with a few rare exceptions. Like that's it for the menu. So one other consideration you want to be making here when I was looking at those characters, do I have Edgar? If I have Edgar, my opening mindset kind of changes a little bit. If I have Edgar, buying power becomes a little bit more valuable. You want to leverage his half price discount. So remember, with Edgar, half price in the World of Balance and World of Ruin South or Figaro Castle, and then half price in the World of Ruin South Figaro shops. So if you have Edgar, I tend to loot a little bit more with Edgar to make sure that I've got a lot of GP. Because I'm hoping that I'm going to find something really strong in South Figaro, like rods or shields or Illuminas or something, and I can get max value for them. You know, depending on the flag set. Like you're not going to find Illuminus in the shop in Ultros League, but you get the idea. Super Balls. Before Super Balls were taken out of Ultros League, if you had Edgar and you got half price Super Balls in South Figaro, if you didn't use those, you were probably going to be 15 minutes behind everybody else. Like it's just crazy, the half price discount, how strong it can be. Also, if I have Edgar, that really changes my plan here because I probably want to do more shopping early, because basically I want to get to the half price items a little early with Edgar so that I'm not paying full price for stuff that I'm going to buy later. I hate buying earrings in Narsh and then finding them in South Figaro for half price because I had Edgar. So yeah. And yeah, so basically that's where we're at right now. So our opening goal here before we land this bird, we want to check as few shops and as few chests as needed in order to finish the seed as quickly as possible. So if you're in the tech world, or if you are like a product owner, product manager, you've maybe heard the term MVP, minimum viable product. That's what we're looking for. We want to have just enough stuff, just enough power that we can beat the seed quickly and win a race. We don't want to go overboard. We don't want to like indulge too much, if you know what I mean. So example for that, if I started in Narsh and let's say we went to that little loot shop and I was like #blessed and my shops were like 50k GP, I get a VK, I get an Illumina, I get an experience egg, and then I go over to the shops in Narsh and they give me earrings and warp stones and all the consumables I want. That's it, I'm done shopping. I don't care about anything else. I'm not going to South Figaro. I'm going to start the seed. I've got everything I need to crack this thing wide open right in those first 6 chests. That will never happen, but if it did, I'm adjusting my opening by canceling it. The opening is done. We're good. We're going to start the seed a minute in and we're going to crush it. So that's what I mean when I'm saying we want to be flexible here. We want to make sure that we're being flexible. We're always consider what is it that we're looking for. Like when I'm opening my next chest, what is it I'm hoping to get from this chest? Because you can almost think about chests as having diminishing returns. Like that first Illumina is massive. The second Illumina is nice, but not as impactful as that first one. The third, fourth Illuminas, cool. You know, by the time you've opened your sixth Illumina, it's like, well, I guess now I've got something for my throw user to throw. So you can almost think about chests like that each chest is usually a little less powerful than the chest before it. Same with shops. So we want to open as few as possible while still getting the most power we can. Obviously, without a spoiler log, you don't know what that exactly looks like, so we're kind of estimating here. But you want to avoid looting and shopping just for the sake of looting and shopping. It's easy to do. I've done it in many, many races where you just want to check one more shop, or you just want to loot one more chest because you want that thing, or you're afraid that everybody else got that thing and you didn't get that thing. Try to resist that urge. You will do better by not doing it. And yeah, the other thing we're going to do as we're starting in here is we're going to try to avoid as many unnecessary world flips as possible. You lose about 5 seconds switching from the World of Balance to the World of Ruin. Try to cut that down as much as you can and try to keep flights local. You can't always, and like flying, the airship's fast. They put jet fuel in these things, so the airships go pretty quick. It's not super time consuming flying even entirely across the world, but you can save a second or two here or there by keeping your flights local. So we've talked about what we're doing. We set up our people. We're going to do this. I like to start in Narshe because you can just smash the B button and you don't have to fly anywhere. So like if I hit the B button, I'm going to land right in front of Narshe. Pixel perfect. This will be the best landing I'll make in the entire seed. It's beautiful. I love it. This is where we're going to go first. You don't have to start in Narshe. Basically, you want to go anywhere that's a treasure heavy location for your first stop. So that could be Narshe, that could be Returners, that could be, if you have Terra, that's the sealed gate. If you have Locke, you could start with the Phoenix Cave. If you have Go-Go and you start with Warp Stones, or you have Warp right off the hop with like Natural Magic or something, you could start with the Zone Eater Cave before anything else. If you have Cyan or Y removed, you could even start with Mount Zozo. That's not great because I hate skipping the dragon, but you usually want to start with treasure. The reason for that is you want to have things that you can sell so you can actually buy things when you get to shop. So like the worst place we could go right now, there's two bad places. Going to the Colosseum right now would be terrible because we have nothing to gamble. And going to Zen right now, this would be like the worst possible time to go to Zen because like you're going to go there and you're not going to have enough to buy that Zen Thief, which means that if you ever want to buy that Zen Thief, you're going to have to make another trip later anyway. So that, like, don't go somewhere like, don't peek the Zen Thief here. You want to go shopping, or you want to go looting here first. So again, I start with Narshe because I can just hit the B button and land. And here's where I go. I usually skip the beginner shop. I just go right to the right here. Skip that man, don't talk to anybody. They all look like they have interesting inner lives, but we don't need to talk to them. I go right in here. I'm going to loot this treasure room. If you have a Mog start, I would especially do this now because that way when you come back here later, you've already triggered the Lone Wolf interaction. This chest here is empty. It's locked. If you Y remove that lock, you're going to open it. There's nothing in there ever. There's never anything in that chest. It's sad. So those 6 chests, don't talk to the guy. Then usually, unless I'm feeling spicy, or I know I'm going to come back and do Moogle Defense later, I usually go up here and I loot this clock, wall ring. That's all the looting I'm going to do in Narshe. You can pick one of 2 ways to leave here. I usually go up and around here, up in here, and I'll often check this armor shop. Now, I don't usually check a lot of armor shops. Once I'm into the seed, I start skipping armor shops. There's not usually a lot of impactful game-changing stuff in armor shops. Obviously that means I'm going to miss out on elemental shields, so it's up to you. But for me, especially if I got like Magus hats early, I'm usually not checking armor shops. Then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go to the item shop and we're going to try to find some early consumables, which I'll talk about the shopping list in a bit, but this is where I'm going to be picking up some consumables early on. Also, we know we have a tools user because we checked our menu earlier, so we're going to buy a drill. And we'll talk about the dried meat later, but I'm going to pick some dried meat up. So I check the item shop. Then I go over here. Watch out for the NPCs. NPCs in Narshe are annoying, but they're predictable. They all follow very specific paths. So it's not like Albrook or something like that, or Nikea. Oh, Nikea, where the NPCs will block you at every turn. Here, the NPCs, you know where they're going, so you can mostly stay out of the way. I check the relic shop. Here, I'm basically looking for earrings. Atlas Armlet and Hyper Wrist are really good to note, but generally I'm looking for earrings, so I don't see them. So usually this check, if you're watching me do a seed, I'm going to be like this. I'm out. Like I'm in and out like that because I'm just looking for earrings, and I'll like take in the information visually and I'll think about it as I'm going to my next spot. Checking here, nothing of note. There it is. We buy a flash. So that's all I'm doing. There are other chests, and a lot of the spots we're going, there are other chests that we're not looting. So like there is a chest all the way over in like that house over there. I'm not going there. I'm going to do the 6 in the treasure room. I need to grab the 1 in the clock, and I'm going to leave. I'm not going to grab the chests in here either. If later on, if I ever want to come in here because I'm looking for a monster in a box, I'll usually grab the chest that's in the room with the monster in a box. Here, I'll show you the chest, but here's why I don't loot these chests, because this guy, you got to talk to him. He's slow. He has to walk in. That's like 5 seconds. I've got to go in one room and another room. Every room transition is like almost a second of time you're losing. This is the one with the monster in a box. So later on, if I had a VK or I had fixed dice or something and I wanted to get an offering, I'll fight this guy. Otherwise, I'm skipping it. And if I fight that guy, I'll usually loot this thing too. Your room transition? No, you. But otherwise, I don't really loot anything in here. Like there's a chest in both of these rooms. I don't think it's worth the time of transitioning through those rooms, let alone talking to this dude right here. So that's Narshe. So we've done our first stop, and now it's time to really quickly assess our needs. And this is something you should be trying to do while you're walking around. So when I'm not looting or not checking shops, I'm trying to think. Sometimes I'm just blathering on like an idiot because I'm streaming and I'm stupid, but you want to be thinking, okay, what did I find? Did I find buying power? Did I find things I can sell that I can get good gold for? Then it's time to shop. Did it come up empty on buying power? So did I find like a Lancet or Air Lancet and like a Guardian and like a Dirk and stuff that I can't even sell for gold? Then there's no sense in going to a spot where I can shop yet because I don't have the buying power to shop. So in that case, I'm going to do another loot heavy stop. Or I might just go shop anyway because I'm impatient. But looking at what we got, again, you wouldn't usually go in here to look, but we know, so we start with Realm, which means we've got a Memento Ring we can sell, and then we got a Super Ball. We probably don't want to sell the Genji Shield, but like we've got a few things we could sell, and we've got a Stunner, which is great to sell. So yeah, based on all that, we would make a decision here of like, do I want to go right to somewhere like South Figaro where I can buy things, or do I want to do some more heavy looting? So let's maybe assume that we didn't get enough buying power, we want to do more looting. In this case, I would probably feel comfortable just going to South Figaro, but for the sake of illustration and showing the route, we're going to go to Returners next. If you had Setzer or Shadow in your party, right now would actually be probably a really good time to hop over either the Gao's father's house or Kohlingen, respectively. Grab that free check. Kind of nice to do that early because that way if it's something sellable, so if like the reward is a Genji helmet, you know you've got more gold, or if the reward is something like Terra, that would change our route right now. Like if we went to Gao Manor and found Terra waiting there, we would go directly to Sealed Gate and do that whole step instead. Versus if we waited till the end of our shopping looting, then we found Terra, now it's kind of a crappy time to go do the Sealed Gate. Okay, so this is Returners, and here's how I loot Returners. I go straight up. Speaking of annoying NPCs, we've got one right in here, this guy. Look, he's already blocking us. So I loot this, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. We got a pair of earrings, that's nice. There's a 6th hidden chest over here. Not much of a secret, we all know about it, but there it is. Get that ether. I like to sell those. So that's 6. Now, there are more chests, and sometimes you can skip these. Each of these chests, there's one in each room, which means you've got to transition to a new room and wander over to get a chest. That's a bit of a time sink. So this one, I'm 50-50 on whether I loot it. So depending on how desperate for loot I am, I'll loot it. But that one's pretty good. This one over here is an easy loot. Grab this guy. He's in that bucket right there. And then again, this is the one I usually do skip, but if you want to loot it, go for it. There's one more chest here. Don't need to save. We got no need to save right now, so I'm going to get out of here. That's all the looting here. And then there's a shop right here. We want to check this item shop. And again, we're looking for a few key things, which I'm going to go into detail on in like, well, right now. Let's talk about looting right now, shopping right now. So, because after this, we're going to go for a shopping check. What are we shopping for? We're shopping for a lot of stuff. We're shopping for consumables. So consumables, I usually like to get 10 Phoenix down. I usually like to get 5 to 10 potions. If you can't find potions, tonics are usually fine in a pinch. They're not great. In fact, they're 20% as great as potions, but get some tonics. I like to get 10 to 20 sleeping bags, which right now we can only buy 5. We'll find a way to fix that. And then I like to get 4 to 5 warp stones. I like to get usually 0 to 5 smoke bombs, more if I don't have warp stones, less if I do. And then generally I try to get 3 to 5 status ailment heals of each type. Dried meat, a good alternative if necessary, and it happens to be there. Yeah, in the unlikely case that you can't find potions, but you can find dried meat, go ahead and stock up on dried meat. It's a very fancy way of healing, and you get a lot of style points for it, and it works. There's no reason not to do that. For status ailments, so I get 3 to 5 of each type, usually probably closer to 3 if I'm being honest. You don't get turned into imp more than a couple times in a seed. Revivify, I'll actually get a little bit more. I'll often get maybe like 5 or more, just because Revivify are useful in a lot of cases, not just for healing your zombie guys, but instantly killing undead monsters and getting yourself out of trouble on tier 3 in Kefka. So 5 or more Revivify. I don't usually buy tents, and I don't usually buy remedies. If you see remedies, they're usually too expensive for what they do. Grabbing 1 or 2 is not the worst idea in the world. If you have extra GP, you can spare it. Go for it, buy a remedy or 2. They're nice in tier 3, tier 4 if you get train on you. It's nice to be able to clear both dark and mute at the same time. Although, to be honest, usually most characters either only want to attack or only want to cast magic, so you don't usually need to cure both of those things. Yeah, I will sometimes get a couple remedies. If I have Edgar, I usually buy remedies because they're half price. Smoke them if you got them. I don't buy MP restoratives, so like tinctures, ethers, I don't usually buy them. Maybe late in the seed I might, but like in this stage, don't worry about buying those. In fact, we'll sell those for the most part. Dried meat, so again, to what we were just talking about, if you find dried meat in a store, always buy 1 or 2, or like always make sure you have 1 or 2, whether you have Gao or not. If you don't have Gao now, you might have Gao later, and if you find Gao later, you want to be able to go right to the Veld, so buy dried meat if you can. That's what we're looking at for consumables. In most seeds. Obviously, some seeds, Super Balls will be for sale. If Super Balls are for sale, they're very good early on, but otherwise, that's it for consumables. Yeah, consider buying at least 2 in case you have a misclick during the belt check. 100%. I usually buy 2 because of exactly that. If you buy 1 dried meat, it's more likely you're just going to eat it yourself, and that feels bad. You got to reload during the Velt. You look like a buffoon. Buy 2 dried meat. Buy 3 if you want. I mean, then you've got another little incentive for Gao to be a good boy. Okay. We're going to keep going. We're going to go to South Figaro. We're going to continue looting and shopping. So what else are we looking for? We've talked about consumables, relics. So for relics, I like to have, I like to buy 4 to 6 earrings, and whether that's closer to 4 or closer to 6 usually depends on what my opening party looks like. So again, do I have a lot of people who look like they're going to be using magic-based abilities, which again is basically all of them. So unless I have a jumper, or like I found an Illumina early or a VK early and I know that somebody's not going to be an earrings user, generally, when in doubt, put earrings on people. You can not go wrong in Worlds Collide by just slapping earrings on everybody. So if I have the money, I'll buy 5 or 6 earrings. If I'm super broke, I'll buy 4. Again, maybe we found one looting earlier, so like that's one less I need to buy here. The only other relic I usually buy early is Atlas Armlet, and I'll buy 0 to 1. They're a little pricey and they're not super important. If you have a physical attack user, they're really good, especially if you have a sword tech user. Now Atlas Armlet and Hyper Wrist are like almost mandatory. Otherwise, like to speculatively buy an Atlas Armlet, I will if I have the spare money. Otherwise, I'm usually happy to skip it. I find magic power based users, they're often very ineffective without earrings, whereas physical users are usually still okay. Like VK users or ammo weapon users, they're pretty much fine even if they don't have an Atlas Armlet. So yeah. Armor, shields, weapons, I generally don't buy much or of any of those except for like your big ticket, like your Luminas and stuff like that. Oh yeah, Cursed Ring, Erosions. Yeah, Mark, totally right. Buy a Cursed Ring if you see one early on. Really quick way to learn X Zone, which makes sure that you have instant death, which is super useful for Tier 1 and Tier 2 of Final Kefka, as well as boss fights like Senior Behemoth and Ghost Train and Narappa. They're really good for Narappa. So yeah, Cursed Rings are not expensive. They cost like 500 gold or something. So grab a Cursed Ring. They're quick to teach X Zone. Condemned is no big deal. So yeah, buy a Cursed Ring. That's a good point. Armor, shields, weapons. I usually just expect that I'm going to get sufficient gear through checks, through rewards, through new characters joining and like taking the gear off them. I'm not usually buying a lot of stuff other than, again, like if I see an Illumina or like Ragnaroks or things like that, those are worth buying. But generally, I'm not buying a lot of armor or shields other than, again, Magus hats and white dresses. I'll buy those. They're really good in terms of like magic power to GP ratio. So like Magus hat is a nice, cheap magic power boost for a magic user. The other thing that I think a lot of people sleep on, but Bard's hats are actually pretty cheap magic evade, and you can find them in stores all over the place. Magic evade is really good. A lot of the things that are going to really ruin your day are negated by magic evade. So it's a cheap way to get some magic evade on your head. The hat slot sucks in Final Fantasy VI, so any hat that does a thing, like a red cap or a Bard's hat or whatever, or a Magus hat, is really, really good. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Like a gold helmet or whatever on your head, doesn't matter. Yeah, rods. So if we're looking for rods, buy as many as you reasonably can afford. So like I usually am talking about fire, ice, and thunder rods. Pearl rods are okay too, but I'm not a big pearl rod fan. They're pretty expensive and slow and a little more niche. You can ignore gravity rods. You can ignore poison rods. You can ignore heal rods. For sure, you can ignore heal rods. And punishers. But basically when I'm talking about rods, I'm usually talking about fire, ice, thunder. Buy a bunch, especially if you have go-go, or especially if you don't have other good offense going on. Go ahead, grab some rods. They're really, really good. Instant tier 2 magic cast that ignores magic defense, so ignores reflect. Throwables, if you have a thrower, ideally you want to be getting 30 to 40 shurikens, and then 10 or so or more of each of the skeins that you encounter, bolt, fire, and water. I will maybe buy a couple shadow edges or a couple invis edges just to make sure I have calmness protection for that person. That said, invariably I always forget to use that calmness protection on a throw user, so go ahead and buy them, and if you remember to use them, you are a better person than I am, and that's a pretty low bar to leap. If you don't have a thrower, still pick up 30 shurikens or so. If you find a thrower later, they immediately have something they can throw, and shurikens cost like nothing. So it doesn't hurt to buy 30 of them, or 31, I guess if you want to be specific. Things I will sell the farm for in the beginning of the game. There's basically 3 things I'm usually happy to like shell out for. Experience egg. Experience egg is massively impactful if you obtain it early. If I get an experience egg, everybody's level 3, you're in really good shape. You are going to cut time off of your seed. We all know experience eggs are great. I don't need to teach you about how great experience eggs are. You all know it. If you get one, throw it on somebody, probably a physical user. Otherwise, throw it on your favorite person and away you go. I will usually shell out for a cat hood. As a wise man once said, you can't afford to not buy a cat hood. They usually will pay themselves off. The only tricky thing about cat hood is not a lot of people can use them. This party, for example, we know that Realm could use them. So if I saw cat hood here, I'm probably going to sell a lot of stuff so I can buy a cat hood, because that double gold is going to make itself back pretty quickly in the vast majority of seeds. And Illumina. So early game, I usually won't shell out for a Valiant Knife or an ammo weapon or a Ragnarok. Sometimes a Ragnarok, but I often am not shelling out right at the start for those. And Illumina I will, and that's because unlike many endgame offense pieces, they're strong enough almost immediately and will never be obsolete. Like you're never gonna replace an Illumina. Well, okay, never say never, but you're rarely going to move away from Illumina. It's good offense for the entire seed in almost every seed. So if I see an Illumina early, that's like the thing. That's like the light bulb has gone off. We have a way into the seed, so we're gonna buy that Illumina. Honorable mentions: Sniper, Hawkeye, Maneater, probably in that order. If you don't have any good offense elsewhere and you really need something to get yourself going and you have somebody who can use one of those things, go ahead and buy them. Snipers are pretty strong, especially against flying targets or targets you can cast float on to make them flying. You get some good damage that way. Maneaters is good against humans and veterans for some reason. So they're not bad. I'll be honest with you, I very rarely buy man-eaters, and I don't think I ever buy Hawkeyes, but I do occasionally buy snipers. So if you've got somebody that has nothing else going for them in this life, and they can use a sniper, give them a sniper. Give them 2 if you got a Genji glove. Economizers, I don't buy economizers just cuz, but if I have a lore user who's got Quasar or Grand Train, or somebody's got a natural magic list with like tier 3 magic or Merton or Ultima, I'll go ahead and grab an economizer. Now that person is amazingly early game. Another good excuse for an economizer, if you're playing a multi-summon seed and you have like Bahamut or something early, you can spam Bahamut for 1 MP. So economizer, if the need arises. Elemental shields, I usually don't buy them early on, but if I have Gogo, or I really need early offense, or I've got Merton like already on the horizon, I'll maybe buy some elemental shields. Mirage Vest, again, it's something that you don't usually want to spend a lot of money on, but they're very helpful, and especially early on in a seed where like a stray physical attack can like kill your guys, Mirage Vest kind of negates that. So if you've got somebody who can use a Mirage Vest and you see one in a store, go ahead, pick one up. There's far worse things to use, and it's kind of calmness protection at the end of the game too. So Mirage Vest is really helpful. Enhancers, so somebody in chat, Papa Shango just mentioned this, but Enhancer, again, just like white dresses and Magus hats, very appealing magic power for GP ratio. It's a great stat stick for anybody who's using magic-based attackers, and again, that's almost everybody in this game. So right here, like again, looking at our people, I would put an enhancer on all 3 of these, and I would be happy with my life choices. Because again, they're not using the fight command, so I don't care what's in their hands. If I can get 7 magic power out of that, great. Fixed dice, the other thing, I don't often buy it early, but like if you've got nothing else going on, it's a very attractive option in the early game, especially if you lack other good early offense, because it scales kind of nicely compared to everything else. So if you've got somebody who can wear fixed dice and you see it in a store and you're lacking other good options, go ahead and grab those fixed dice. Other things that I'm going to be looking for while I shop, but I'm not actually buying. I'm just going to note for later, again, the elemental shields, I want to know where I can get them later. So if I find a lot of money or whatever, I want to get elemental shields later, I want to know where I can go to get them. Endgame weapons, so I'm noting down anywhere I can buy VKs, Atmas, Ragnaroks, Merton protection. So I will try to keep a mental reminder in my head of where I saw Minervas or Raid Rings or Blizzard Orbs or Red Jackets. I'll be honest with you, between you and me, I don't usually write down Raid Rings and Blizzard Orbs, but it's good to know where they are just in case. Offerings and Genji gloves, again, I'm not usually buying them early, but you really, if you find offerings and Genji gloves for sale, you definitely want to know where you can go buy them later. Dragonhorn and Dragoon boots, it might end up being your best option, so it's not a bad idea to note down if you see Dragoon boots, note it down just in case you find a Dragonhorn later. If you see a Dragonhorn for sale and you have, the potential of needing jump later, you want to know where you can get that. Skeins, I don't know if I'd always write it down, but you'd like to know where you can go get skeins if you need to. And Gauntlet. Gauntlet, very valuable if you have an Illumina user or you have a natural jumper. Otherwise, it's irrelevant, but yeah, I like to try to remember where I see a Gauntlet for sale. So we have a lot of stuff to buy. What are we going to sell? Basically, anything I didn't mention already, and anything that's not on the list of rewards for dead checks, other than maybe the Aurelians. I give you permission to sell the Aurelians if you'd like. But basically early on, to make money, I'm selling almost everything else that has value just to get gold to buy the things I need. So I'll sell elixirs and X-ethers. They're pretty useful, but they also sell for a lot. So early game, feel free to cash them in if it gets you something that will get you going faster. Excuse me. Like the gold from an elixir now is better than the chance of needing an elixir later, often, if you have something to spend it on. Same goes for mega elixirs. Don't be too precious with mega elixirs. I know it feels awful to sell them. I usually try to be a bit of a miserly person to keep them, but sell them if you need to. Ethers themselves, I think you usually get like 2,500 give or take for selling an ether, so they're often worth selling. Tinctures, not so much. They just don't sell for very much. I usually don't sell X potions because they're just, again, not super efficient for selling, but if the GP from an X potion sale means you get something more impactful, sell it. Don't worry about it. Like, if it's either an X potion now or an Illumina, like, get the damn Illumina. And then everything else, there's stuff that's just almost always more useful as GP. So ribbons, gem box, imp gear, scimitars, strato, strikers, tiger fangs, heel rods, wing edge, stunner. Those are all good examples of items that are almost always more useful as GP. There are edge cases for many of those. Like if it's a lock start and the curse shield number was low, then keep your ribbon, or, you know, unless you find a peace ring for sale, then you don't need a ribbon anymore, I guess. But generally, those are all things that you can pretty safely sell. Low-end mundane gear is also usually not worth the time it takes to sell it. So like mithril armor and shields or random mid-game dirks and swords and stuff, you don't really need to think too much about like selling that stuff, because like it's just not worth the time you're gonna spend in a shop. All right, let's actually move around in the game again. Let's actually loot and shop, says Figaro. Here's the route that I take. So I usually go, you come in here, I go down. You can sneak through here if you want, but like I'm gonna loot that chest over there later. So grab this bucket. There's an X potion. Don't know if we'll sell it or not. I loot this chest right here. There's 2 more right here. 1, 2. I usually go to the right here, but these NPCs will occasionally block you. It's very annoying. And we're gonna check the relic shop. Do not talk to this guy. This guy will eat up so much of your time. Don't talk to him. He is the worst human in the world. Okay. We're writing down offering. So again, I'm not going to buy this offering, but I'm definitely writing down that I saw it in South Bay Grove. This is a huge, huge find. Otherwise, I'm really just looking for earrings. Okay. So we've made a little note on our notepad or on our scratch paper, and then we're going to go over here. So you can sneak across. There's an invisible bridge right there. So basically I'm just going right here. I'm hitting down as far as I can hit. I'm now like I'm holding down and I'm hitting a wall. I'm gonna hit right and go across here. And then we're gonna sneak in. If I go straight down here, there's another door. I'm gonna go in here. In this back door, we're gonna go down into the floor here, and then we're gonna go up here and loot this bucket. Aren't we glad we looted that bucket? So that's a Valiant knife, which again changes the equation for us here. Up these stairs. Oh, so here's something you'll notice I'm doing on these stairs, and it's a very subtle thing, but it'll save you a couple seconds down again. So I'm gonna go down these stairs, and look how slow I go down. Doot, 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 doot. Now watch this time. Watch how fast I go down. Now, very subtle difference, but I went down very fast. If you hold up or down well as screen transitions, and you're on stairs, when the screen fully loads up, when you go up the stairs, you go at like full walking speed or like full sprint shoe speed instead of like slow speed. So a little, again, it's going to save you like 3 seconds over the course of a seed. It's not that significant, but something to remember, just like holding down as you're going, as you're loading up screens with stairs, and they can just Sonic the Hedgehog blast through the stairs when you come into the loading screen. It only really helps on long sets of stairs. So like the best spot for value for that is probably the Ancient Castle, but that means you've gone to the Ancient Castle, so you've already got bigger problems. All right, Phoenix Downs, potions we bought already. Revivifies, I need more, so now we gotta sell stuff. Yeah, fun fact, Javanier is exactly right. The diagonal movement in the Opera House, when you're coming up the side wings to talk to the Impresario, they're stairs, and you can zoom up those stairs too. All right, we're gonna sell things, so we're gonna sell. Memento Ring, get out of here. Rune Edge, don't care. Rune Edge is not the worst thing, but you could keep it if you wanted to. That elixir is sellable, but I'm going to sell this wall ring. Don't care about that. This stunner, it's gone. Magicite, always sell Magicite. We'll keep the red jacket. Red jacket's great. Earrings are good. Moogle suit can be useful. We can sell these ethers if we need to, but we don't need to yet. I'm not desperate for money, so like I'm not going to sell right to the bone here because we don't actually need a bunch of stuff yet. We haven't, well, we saw VK. We'll probably need to sell at some point, but Coronet. Normally you can instant sell these. We have Realm, so we know we have somebody who can use it. And it's got a little bit of magic power on it, so I'll probably keep it, but like don't sweat it if you want to sell it. I won't get angry at you. And White Cape, yeah, get out of here. Boom. Now we can buy 5 Revivifies, and we can buy some antidotes. And I'm not really counting how many I'm buying. I'm just going like, and like whenever my cursor stops, I'm buying. And like stuff like this, I'm just gonna hit up, and up's gonna get me 10, right? So I'm just going, bam, give me 10. Or like with potions, I probably go like up and then like hit left a little bit and then buy. Otherwise, we don't need to buy anything else here. Since you found that VK, would you think about the offering? Yeah, 100%. Now that I've got a VK, and like this is about the only time, the next time I check a menu, I'm gonna see who can use that VK. So like right now, it's not gonna affect anything in my immediate future in terms of looting. But at some point here, and I guess, yeah, you're right. So there is an offering for sale. This wouldn't be the worst time. This is sort of like an exception to the rule. Hey, Mega Sats, give me 2. Because I see 2 people can use them. Red Jacket's good, but not worth buying. Circlets are good, but very expensive for what they do. I wouldn't really usually buy them. Yeah, I would consider buying the VK. This is, so, I know we said we're never touching the menu again. Here's an exception. We can go in the menu, and we can look at that VK, and we see we have 1 user, because I've gone to the item and I've double-clicked it. Double tapped it with A. Strago can use it, and Strago is one of our lamest dudes here with tools, so yeah, Strago is probably destined to be a VK user. I would consider buying him a sniper, but we have a VK for him. So yeah, Dwayne, to your point, this would be a situation where I would be comfortable going over, selling a bunch and getting that offering now. We're not probably going to use the offering VK heavily for like a few checks, but yeah, get that going early. Okay, I already looted that bucket. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to loot this box here now. So remember we skipped it earlier. We're grabbing it now. It was an elixir. Now we're in here. So you can just go up these stairs if you want. I usually go over here and loot this bucket right here. If you want, you can even loot 1 more over here. I went around and I'm going, and this clock here has a chest. I usually skip it just because it's just 2 more rooms I've got to go in and out of. But if you really, really want to, you can go loot it. Sometimes I do if I'm feeling fresh. Now, there is the 1 chest over above the Chocobo stable. It takes like roughly 45 minutes to go walk over to get that, so we're going to skip that one. That's just about the only chest here we're skipping now. Okay, we're going up here, go in the first door. You can walk through this bed. Many beds you don't want to walk through because they'll put you to sleep. This one is fine. I'm holding down as I load up these rooms. Here we're holding down again. Bam. Okay, straight down this hallway right here. Another set of stairs. Got another piece of magicite. Got a gold hairpin. That's it down here. What's the general consensus on Figaro Basement these days? I see a mixture of opinions, and I've been gone a while. Figaro Basement will never go away. It's hard to argue with 20 chests, counting South Figaro upstairs too. I don't think you're ever wrong to go to South Figaro, unless like the situation I described earlier where like you found a VK and an offering and an Illumina and 50,000 in Narsh, then don't sweat going to South Figaro. But like generally, I don't think you're ever wrong to go to South Figaro. If you're planning on looting or planning on grinding down here, you would save in this room. We don't have Celeste, so we don't need to check her free check. There's chest here, and then 2 more chests over here. Bam, bam. We have some really good loot. Okay, up here. Now this room is hard to navigate if you don't know where you're going. So we go through this wall here. We're gonna go down and loot. There's another way you can do this. If you want to be fancy, you can go down here as well. It's about the same time, doesn't make a difference. Up here and around. You can't get to these from here. You have to go up and around. We're zooming. Soft and a man-eater. Yeah, we're getting cool stuff. Yeah, there's a wall right here we can't go through. Next, you're going to go right down to here, and you're going to go left, right into a wall, and then down these stairs. Took that corner wide. Tincture, and then we go over here. There's 2 chests here, so just stick to this wall here. Grab this guy here. Go straight down. Push right. Hit Phoenix down. So there's a chest right there, right below where I'm looking. Go back up. I'm holding up in my transition, so I zoom up the stairs. Again, we're going to go right here, and then there's 1 more chest. Last chest beats all. Right there. Hero ring. Wonderful. Okay, and that's it. There's nothing else to do in South Figaro. And that's South Figaro. So, usually I do the World of Balance South Figaro, just because that way I don't have to switch worlds. However, if I had Edgar, I probably would want to do World of Ruin South Figaro instead. If you didn't want to do South Figaro, like if you're Javanier's point, if you're trying to like cut down on your looting, you didn't want to do South Figaro, you have other options. You can do Thamasa, you can do Albrook. You know, those are probably your options, and we'll go show those places, in fact, right now. But this is where I'd be reassessing. So we just finished South Figaro, and we have to assess, what am I missing still? So like, do I have all the consumables I need? I do. I have potions, I have Phoenix Downs, I have some restoratives. I'm not going to sweat that I don't have all the status heals. So like, do I have soft? No, I wish I had soft, but I don't have soft. Surely that will never come back to bite me. Do I have earrings? I don't have earrings. So that's the big thing we're missing right now is we don't have earrings. And based on what our abilities are, we really do kind of need earrings. So we have one pair of earrings. That's not enough. So we don't have earrings. Do I have enablers? Like, do I have tools for my tool users? Do I have throwables for my throw users? That kind of thing, which we're pretty much set. We don't have a great amount of tools for our tool users, but we have a VK and we know we can get an offering. So we're not too worried about that. Can I kill a boss or fix encounters? I'll be honest with you, I'm fairly comfortable at this point, but I do want earrings because I want my Magitech user to get strong. So usually where I'd be going from here is Zen. We'll go to Zen, then we'll talk about Albrook and Thamasa. My opinion on Albrook, I actually really like Albrook. I think I'm a minority opinion on that, but I think Albrook's good. Okay, so we're going to Zen. I usually do this right after I do South Figaro because at that point I have money and it's right next door, like it's very, very close. So again, don't go to Zen first. The biggest mistake you make is like starting off with Zen. You won't be able to buy the Zen Thief. You're just gonna have to come back and check later. So like we now have access to money. So no matter what the Zen Thief costs, we can probably afford it. I'm going straight up. There's no chests in Zen outside the collapsing house. We're talking to this guy. For 20k, this glowing stone's yours. Sold. So let's talk about the Zen Thief. In Ultros League Season 7, the average sell value of a Zen Thief reward is just around 23,000 gold. So that's to sell it, you should get 23,000 if it's a dead check. If it's an Esper, obviously it's worth its weight in Magicite. The absolute worst case from a Zen Thief is a Dragon Horn, which at minimum value will sell for 7,500. That's super rare. Usually, best case scenario is that you're going to get something from the Zen Thief that you can sell for 41,000. That's the highest value you can sell. Like an ideal thing, which is usually like an Illumina or an offering, which you're usually not selling Illuminas and you're often not selling offerings. So that all to say that you should basically always buy the Zen Thief if it's 17k or cheaper, as you can usually sell for a profit like 75% or more of the time. So it doesn't matter, like just buy it. And if you get your force armor or whatever and you hate it, just sell it and you're farther ahead anyway. The only thing you've hurt is that if you're on a set of scaling that scales by checks, you've now bumped scaling by 2 levels, but otherwise you've come out ahead. I would say too that given that the reward itself can also be inherently useful, like it's not always force armor, sometimes it's an Illumina or sometimes it's a VK or an offering or a Genji glove, I'd bump that up. I would probably say, personally, I will buy the Zen Thief anytime it's 20k or cheaper. If I've got nothing else to spend my money on, I'll even go higher than that. But if it's a dead check and it's 20k, just buy it. You will, at worst, you'll usually come out at, even, if not ahead, or you'll find something that's very useful. Okay, in Zen, I'm going to check this. I almost called it an earrings shop. It's not an earrings shop, unfortunately. There's an Atlas armlet. We have a VK user. You could buy the Atlas armlet here. I'm not going to bother. You could if you wanted. There's a rage ring there we could have looked at too. I'm at this point, especially because of this idiot kid here, I usually skip the armor shop here because again, I'm just not looking for much. I just want to check weapons real quick. There was nothing. So again, I was looking for VKs, Illuminas, Ragnaroks, stuff like that. There was nothing like that there. And we're checking here. We already bought a flash. We don't need that. I don't need shadow edges. You could buy at this point. Go ahead, grab a couple remedies. Why not? Otherwise, we don't need anything there. Okay. Earrings quest continues. Although I think we did see earrings in Narsh, but let's pretend we didn't. So let's do Albrook next. Here's how I loot Albrook. Now you're probably saying to your screen right now, hey, double down, you idiot. You're doing Albrook in the wrong world. And you're right. I am doing Albrook in the wrong world. But it's not something I lose too much sleep over. So if you do Albrook in the World of Ruin, not only do you get the cooler, like, broken town music, and it's less shady, there's one extra chest, but we're not going to worry about that. So, weapon shop. Chest right there in the bucket. Big Genji glove pickup. Right here, enhancer. One person can use it. What was his ability? It was Blitz, so we probably want that. We have a Ragnarok that nobody can use. Bunch of shurikens, so remember, buy 30 of those. Enhancer. Sure, let's get one. So we gotta sell some stuff. We'll toss an elixir into the fire. We'll buy an enhancer for Cyan who can use it. Next, go to the right. This guy is really annoying. He will block you sometimes. Albrook is annoying for that reason. Go in here. Loot and loot. Those two are empty chests in vanilla, but not here. We're looking here. I mean, sure, I'll buy another white dress. Why not? If this was the World of Ruin, we could go past this guy right here. On the docks, immediately to the right, the crate there has a chest in it. So basically, hold down once the screen is transitioning, just hold right and hit A the moment you've zoned into that new screen, loot the thing, and leave. Finally, there's another chest over here. The advantage of the World of Balance here is that there's only one NPC. In the World of Ruin, there's an NPC here and a lady here, and they are very annoying. We're going to go into the relic shop, and we're going to look. Another Genji glove, so write that down. Now you could choose to either go south and out of here. I usually go up here because, for one thing, there's one more chest right in that clock. And then I usually just skip through the bar. The dancers are annoying. Sometimes they get in your way, but today they were very kind to us, even though they're licentious howlers. Okay, we're going to go up here. For non-UL runs and tourneys, that is the lootable chest with wire move on. Yes, it is. Although, be careful coming back. If you trigger the stupid dialogue with the guy, you have to like listen to him talk about like off limits and he kicks you. More shurikens, buy some eye drops, buy some echo screens. Again, I'm not being too precious about how many I buy. We'll buy another 11 sleeping bags. That's good. And we're good here. I'm buying a little freely because I know I still have more stuff I can sell. We know we have another elixir I can sell. We have stuff like that. Okay. The next other spot we're going to talk about looting is Thamasa. Here's how you loot Thamasa. Thamasa's great. He's got all the shops and most of the chests. In fact, all the chests are out in the open, so you don't have to worry about going into rooms or anything. All the chests we're going to loot. Okay, that guy right there, the top of these three is a chest. This one up here, a chest. Ooh, nice one. There is a chest in this house. It is not worth going in and going upstairs to go get. Just pretend it's not there. We're going to go over here, and in this bucket there, there's a chest, and then we go in the relic shop. We better get some earrings. Hell yeah. So, I'm going to get rid of one more elixir, and we're going to buy 5 earrings. That's probably a lot, considering we have a hero ring as well. But let's go ahead and be indulgent today. There's one more chest right here. We actually probably don't even need to check item shops anymore. We have basically everything we want. I guess now we're imp protected. And then go ahead and check these shops as well. Again, I would probably have skipped that armor shop. There's a bard's hat if you wanted to buy it, but I don't know that I'm in the mindset for that. And that's it. That's Thamasa. It's the same looting plan in the World of Ruin as the World of Balance. The chests are the same in both worlds, so you can't go and reloot it in the World of Ruin. The other spot you could always go to as well right now, if you wanted to, is of course the other South Figaro. So the outdoors of South Figaro do change. Safest spot to switch worlds, how I remember, is just south of the Returner's Hideout. If you flip here, we will be just about next to South Figaro. I kind of missed it. It's a little farther south than that. Ignore me. But yeah, so you can go in here, and again, all the chests in the overworld of South Figaro are different in the World of Ruin. So like, bam, new wing edge. Bam, new sleeping bag. I rarely do both South Figaros. I usually don't need to. And again, your route through here is gonna be different. So like, if I'm coming here and I've already done the other one, I'm gonna be not going indoors at all, really. So like, we'll go over here. I'd probably check that relic shop there, and then I'd scoot across this river. But like, we don't need to go through this building anymore because we looted. That bucket in there is not going to be replaced in the World of Ruin. So we'll just go up here. We'd go to the item shop, do our shopping, and then I would come around here. There's no NPC up there this time, so it's nice. Loot this, and then you go in here. You shop in there if you want. I'd loot this fella, and then I'd leave. I would not usually go, like that bucket over there does have stuff in it. I usually would not go to the trouble of going to loot that if I've already looted it once. And that's South Figaro. That's and that's it. So basically, in terms of places to loot and shop early, that's it. There are, of course, a couple other towns that have shops. Like we know that Jador has shops, Miranda has shops, Nikea has shops. they don't have chests, and so I wouldn't recommend going and shopping there unless you're really, really desperate, like you really need a dried meat or you really, really need earrings. Then I guess you start digging deep. Some of them are better than others. Like, I don't know, sometimes I go to Mobley's if I'm really looking for relics, even though the relic shop is way at the back of Mobley's. Yeah. The other spot they might go early is... You're right, Miranda does have 2 chests, but you're also right, it's still not worth checking because it doesn't even have a full set of shops. This place right here, so the old Coliseum. If you just didn't find any other way to break into the seed, you can go ahead and consider the Coliseum. Here's some caveats though. Unless you're one-shotting things, fights here take time. So, will the thing that you're going to win save you that much time? The answer is often no. And like, it's really easy to be like, oh man, Phoenix down for Mega Elixir, like Phoenix down, Mega Elixir, you know, like really easy, quick math to do there. Or like Toe Robe versus Revivify, clearly one of those things is much better than the others. Coronet for Super Ball, big upgrade. Flash for Flame Shield, big upgrade. Tincture for Genji Glove. Wall Ring for VK, that one actually would do. But for the most part, you have to assume that like, it's going to take time. So like, assume any given minute is going to take you at least a minute to acquire and then judge accordingly. So like, will this VK that I get here make up that minute or 2 minutes I'm going to spend in the Coliseum? It is a massive sink of time. Umaro is a big plus. If you have Umaro, Umaro is not himself a reason to go to the Coliseum. So it's less like, I'm going to go to the Coliseum if I have Umaro. It's more like, I probably won't go if I don't have Umaro. Because otherwise, like any of our people here that we send, if we send Realm right now, she'll probably use like a Magitek Beam. That's kind of okay. Strago, we cannot send in. For every time that he's going to swing a VK, he's also going to like use a stupid tool or something, like a Debilitator. And Cyan, I mean, right now he's going to go and pummel things or fight. So like Cyan would maybe be an okay Coliseum user. So like, you know, we could go ahead and gear this fella up. He's got a Doom Darts, which actually makes him not awful either. And like, we'll send him in there for that wall ring, I guess. But like, this could go very badly. Like, I wouldn't, in a race, I would probably try this one. That's actually a pretty nice fight too. But so like, we've just started the fight. How many seconds is going to take us? We didn't get the Doom Dart proc, so we might be here for a while. But yeah, for the most part, I'm not doing Coliseum unless I'm really desperate. Like in this case, we already have a VK. We already have like access to offering. We have a lot of power already. This VK is sort of gilding the lily at this point. But I mean, a VK is a VK. That's still an awesome pickup. Although only one person can use it. Yeah, you're also level 3 and scaling is level 8, making the fight harder at this point. 100% true. Yeah, we do have a Genji Glove. So like, there's a good argument for the VK there, but again, I probably wouldn't have even visited the Coliseum here because it just, we didn't need it. A second VK is great, but that first VK is like already a massive quantum leap forward in terms of our ability to fight and kill and get through the seed fast. So the other thing to talk about here, and somebody just mentioned it actually, is route divergence. So sometimes you're going to win a race because you went to some place that the other racers didn't and you found a clutch item. Like right there, maybe we're the only person who went to the Coliseum and we found the VK and they didn't. Sometimes that's going to make you win a race. Other times, you're going to lose a race because you didn't go to some place that the other racers all went to. So like, you started in Narsh and then went to South Figaro. Everybody else went to Returners and then they went to South Figaro, and there's an experience egg in Returners. Honestly, that's Worlds Collide. It happens sometimes. Don't beat yourself up about it, and don't make bad routing decisions to try to prevent it, because it's honestly, it's kind of inevitable. You know, just sometimes people are going to go to weird spots, they're going to find something. 90% of the time, them going to that weird spot is just going to eat up their time, and like 10% of the time, they're going to find like the silver bullet, and it's going to be amazing. But like, going to Miranda on like a lark, because that might be where the great thing is, it's probably in the long run, like if you like run your run stats, in the long run, that's costing you time. There is going to be the 1 or 2 times where that's where you find the offering or the Illumina or the experience egg. And that when you erase, you're going to remember that time, you're going to forget about all the times where you just went there and there was nothing. You kind of just left. So that's a minute that you will never get back. So basically, you might lose a race by not finding that clutch item, but you will lose a race by spending 5 to 10 minutes longer shopping and looting while the other racers beat the seed. So it's easy to fall into that mindset of like, I gotta do both Narshe and Returners, because if everybody else goes to Returners, they're gonna find the big thing. Or like South Figaro Basement, that I gotta go to South Figaro Basement because they all went, and that's where the egg is, and if I don't find it, I'm gonna lose. You can't really think that way. It's hard not to, but basically, you just have to accept that sometimes there are, people are going to make different choices and somebody's going to find the great thing that you didn't find. And you're going to win races occasionally by finding the special thing. But like, honestly, it's not worth specifically chasing, in my opinion. And again, your mileage may vary. Some people will play and approach it differently, but I think you're better off focusing your attention on just like, rather than thinking about what decision can I make that will make me differentiate from other racers, think just more about what can I do that will cut another minute off my time. And that's why like I don't find my strategy changes based on who I'm racing. Even in terms of my opening strategy, I don't really adjust my strategy because my strategy is always just how can I finish this seed as fast as humanly possible. Whether I'm racing Javinator or Mark or somebody who just learned yesterday, like I'm basically doing that same thing. I was like, I want to beat this as fast as I possibly can. And I'm just going to try to stick to my fundamentals and do all the right things and hope that gets me through. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, sometimes people they go to a weird spot and they find the thing, but a lot of the time they go to the weird spot and they find nothing. So I don't think it's something worth chasing. I would just stick to the basics of your opening. And that's pretty much it. That's actually all there is really to it. Again, there's not really any other looting places. Like there are some chests floating around that you could go get if you wanted to. Like we could go to Doma and find the room full of chests that nobody ever loots there if we really wanted to, but don't. Yeah, there's a chest in the owner of the Colosseum in the World of Balance that you could go loot if you really wanted to. Don't. I think, is there one in like Duncan's house? I don't know. There's stupid chests all over the place that are not worth even giving a single brain cell to. Just don't worry about it. Yeah, Duncan's house. Yeah. In the World of Balance, right? Like, or I guess it's like Saban's house, I suppose. But really, that's pretty much it for what I do for an opening and how I think about the opening. I think that's kind of basically pretty fundamental. Just at the end of the day, you want your opening to be as short as possible without missing out on any of the things that will let you do the seed fast. So that's why you just don't want to get stuck in a rigid, like, I'm always going to go Narshe, Returners, South Figaro, Zen, done. Sometimes you're going to go to 6 places. Sometimes you're going to go to 2 places, and it's going to feel awesome. You're going to feel like a champion when you go Narshe, South Figaro, right into checks. It's scary and it's exhilarating, and you'll win a race and you'll feel like a hero. So that's it. I don't know if there's any other questions, but otherwise that's basically all I have to talk about with openings. I will probably be putting this up on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I did put it on YouTube, as you know, because you're watching it there. Also, there's going to be on YouTube in the notes, there'll be a link to the document that has all the notes from this as well. So that kind of just basically summarizes all the stuff I'm talking about. If you're looking for more talk about how to kind of think about the opening, I've got a guide on the Worlds Collide wiki, which you can check out. I'll try to put a link up there. But I've got a guide there as well that I sort of talk about, what your kind of broad priorities are in the opening versus the mid game versus the late game. So check that out. That's got some more information. It'll give you some more ideas too on like which abilities are stronger and which abilities need more power. Last question: do you watch the clock? I do and I don't. I definitely start to get really stressed out if I'm still looting and shopping and it's over 10 minutes. Unless it's a Terra Seed, because sometimes that just happens because Sealed Gate takes forever to loot. Which I didn't really show. I skip a bunch of chests in Sealed Gate too, but generally, and like on my little splits, my timer, you can't see it on stream, but my timer has splits set up for, actually, I wonder if I could show it. I have like splits with targets on my timer. Go to monitor 1. So on stream, you only ever see the timer, but I've got these splits all set up. So I try to be done my shopping looting in 10 minutes. And then ideally, like well, wait, this is not right. Edit splits. These are all. So yeah, these are my benchmarks. If I'm hoping to get like a 105, which, you know, it's ambitious, but I generally am trying to finish my looting by 10 minutes. I want to hit 6 progression by 1845. I want to have 9 by 2730. I want to have 12 by 3615 and so on. I'm reading the screen. You can all see it, but this is really the kind of benchmarks I'm looking for. So if I'm still looting and shopping after 10 minutes, it means that something's gone horribly wrong. Like I needed help, or like I just really didn't feel comfortable with what I've got, or I'm being greedy and I'm lacking discipline. It's often just the latter there. Opinions on early dragon fights? Yeah, great question. I will do early dragon fights if I have a way of reliably beating them. In old times, that meant I had Super Balls and Go-Go. In this case, I would be nervous with this party right now. So if we were to go fight a dragon, which with this party, we're probably talking about going to Mount Zozo. It probably wouldn't be a terrible idea. I did it in a race recently. I did actually that exact play of going to Mount Zozo and fighting the dragon. You probably could, right? If we go buy that offering, and then go fight the dragon. We've got earrings on Realm. We have an Esper too, which I don't know what the Esper does. HP 50, yeah. So like, look at that. That's a nice HP 50 Esper. We're gonna put that right on this guy because look at that, HP 50 and quick on our VK user. Wow. Siren, you princess. We'll probably never move that Esper off him, actually. Yeah, so you could fight a dragon as long as you have a reasonable, reliable way of beating it. We do have a Super Ball. We don't have a way of duplicating with Go-Go, but between one Super Ball and Realm, I would be willing to try a dragon. However, it's risky. If we hit Blue Dragon, we lose. All of Blue Dragon's script, every single one of Blue Dragon's opening moves is multi-target. So if you encounter Blue Dragon, you're cooked. White Dragon often opens with L ? Pearl, which can wipe you, and Gold Dragon, most of Gold Dragon's openings are multi-target as well, so any of those dragons, we probably just wipe. Oh, White Dragon also opens with Scar Beam way too often, which usually will wipe you at early levels as well, so you can try to fight a dragon and just hope that it's like a Dirt Dragon or a Skull Dragon or something and that you can take it down. Otherwise, I'm apprehensive about it. Did I talk about free checks and scaling and not pushing it too far? Oh, yeah, we do have Siren for White Dragon. That's a good point. Although, can we cast it? Do we have enough MP to cast Siren? I'm not sure. She costs how much? 14? Yeah, we can cast one Siren. Do I talk about free checks and scaling? Yeah, so I didn't. And my basic rule of thumb is I don't like to go past 6 scaling before I start doing stuff. And even that's kind of high these days, but I try not to get past 6 basically. So like any combination of 3 like characters and espers equaling 6, I try not to go above. So the closer to that number I am, the more likely I am to do grind fights before I do my first check. It also sort of mentions or sort of addresses to like, do I have a way to beat early bosses and or early encounters? So if I would be willing to pop my scaling up to like, 3 characters, 4 espers here, if I had some way to very quickly clear multi-target fights. Right now we don't. Like we have basically Magitech, which we don't have access to the factory. So like these are all single target abilities. We have Flash. So actually we could clear fights with Flash, and then we have Blitz, which will not be multi-target for many levels. So we could count on Flash and we could take some grind fights if we got up to like three characters, 4 espers, and then we could go from there. That's not the craziest thing. In fact, I think I did it in week 2 Mega Elixir, and it worked out. No, week 1, I think it worked out really well. That doesn't mean it'll always work out. That's like results-based thinking. You shouldn't do that, but connected question. You mentioned looting and shopping, but what about early grinding and levels and when to take a boss fight? Gosh, that's tough. So I will grind when I'm not comfortable that I can beat a boss. or when I want to be more comfortable with beating a boss fast. So like, for instance, with the build we have right now, we have an HP 50 Esper, we have a VK, and let's assume we're going to go buy the offering. I would actually kind of like to take a grind fight or two to get Strago like just 3 or 4 levels, and his VK is actually going to do work. So, and we'll also have to, don't forget, put him in the front. This is the one exception, or one of 2 or 3 exceptions to the rule, but Strago in the front row with the VK and offering and a few levels under his belt, especially with an HP 50 Esper. Not that that's very impactful at these levels, but he would give me a pretty big comfort level taking a boss fight. Otherwise, I usually, if I've taken a few free checks, again, if I'm at like 5 or 6 total progression, so like monsters are level 10 or level 12, I'm often thinking about taking a quick grind fight. Usually and I think I'm in the minority, I'll just take it on the world map. I know a lot of folks try to prioritize doing it while they're walking somewhere, and that's very efficient. So like while you're walking through the South Figaro basement, or while you're walking up Mount Zozo, or something like that. That's very efficient, but it's also risky if you get a really bad boss fight. Sorry, a really bad fixed encounter, random encounter, and you know, if it goes badly, then you've got to redo your walk. You also don't have easy access to heal up after, whereas if I take a fight or two on the world map, I can sleeping bag after. That said, at early levels, a potion is as good as a sleeping bag anyway, so yeah, I never used to take grind fights. I've started to maybe take a comfort grind fight now, and to be honest with you, it probably hurts my time as much as it helps it. Again, my Mega Elixir race, I think last week, is probably a really good example of that, where I decided I wanted to take a grind fight before my first check. I was fighting 2 Fortises, and I probably spent 2 minutes banging my head against a wall trying to fight Fortises, which was just a stupid mistake. And then I flew somewhere else and tried to take grind fights there, and it was a little more lucrative, but by then I spent like 3 or 4 minutes grind fighting for like 1 small fight's worth of XP. Big mistake. Big mistake. So really depends, I think, on your comfort level. Again, if my abilities are weaker and my characters are weaker, then levels fix many problems. So a weak party with high levels is still fine. You know, you can get stuff done with a Sky Render and a Strato and stuff if you've got the levels to back it. So with strong opening abilities, like here, again, we've got like Realmy. Realm with 2 earrings and magic power, like if we, like, we'll equip her, right? Like, let's give her earrings, you know, this guy's gonna get a Moogle Charm and earrings. This guy's gonna get, oops, I didn't put the Moogle Charm on him. This guy's gonna get, well, he's gonna get an offering and like whatever, a hero ring, sure, who cares? We're gonna equip Realm. Sure, that's good. I don't really spend too much time on equipment. For the record, I just hit optimum usually. I only fix if I need to. So this is our Realm now. She's got her 2 earrings, so her magic power is 53 plus 50% bonus or something from earrings. So Realm with Magitech, she's covering 3 different elemental weaknesses with tier 2 magic from Magitech, from like the 3 bolt beams or fire beams or ice beams. I'm reasonably comfortable taking a fight with her, and then of course we're gonna have offering VK Strago, and we're gonna have Pummel, soon to be Aura Bolt Cyan. So this is actually a really sweet party, and I would be comfortable taking a boss fight early with this. If we had something more like, you know, Runic Realm, Morph Strago, and GP Rain Cyan, I'm gonna grind a bunch because I don't have good abilities, so I just need levels so that I can just overpower bosses with levels and like superior numbers versus strong abilities. Hope that answers the question. And again, that's getting much more subjective. You know, I think a lot of people have differing opinions on like, should you grind or not grind? We have some racers who are very good racers who would say like never ever grind. We have other racers who are very good racers who probably take a lot of grind fights in places like South Figaro Basement. So very subjective. Experiment, you know, get a feel for it. But for me, I really make that decision based on how sexy my early party is, basically. And then, yeah, where to take them. I've historically grinded or took a first check, which includes fixed encounters. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that my very, very favorite opening checks to do, in fact, my number 1 favorite check to do at the beginning, Imperial Base. I love starting with Imperial Base. Second favorite check, Serpent Trench. I just wish it didn't have all the stupid long cutscenes in between. But I love Serpent Trench and I love Imperial Camp because they're both just quick. Go in there, you fight 3 or 4 fixed encounters. There's no boss at the end to screw you, so it's good. And then my next favorites after that, Bowser's Mansion. Oh god, am I gonna say Burning House out loud? I guess we'll say Burning House out loud. Lete River, or Lete River, however you want to pronounce it, and god, the Opera House. I'm saying I like Opera House, and I'm saying I like Burning House. I don't like those checks, but they do have grind fights. The problem is, you also get stuck into a boss. There is low-key another option here is that we've got Cyan as well. So yeah, Mark, we're on the same page. You could also do Dome of Siege like that, right? So Dome of Siege is not actually a check that has fixed encounters, but it does have little dudes, right? And all of those dudes are themselves fixed encounters. I'm not wearing Moogle Charms, so let's just be a little careful. Also, I didn't equip somebody, but here, let's do that real quick. Cyan. Oh, we did equip him. We didn't equip this guy. He's not wearing his VK. You know what, Strago, just hide in the back row for now. So we can take a grind fight right here. And this is the problem with doing stuff like this, is that if you did this with the assumption that we were going to get levels, well, I got bad news for you. We're not going to get levels off of Leapers and Dark Winds. So now we have to blind check the boss. And if it's something scary, we're in trouble. Like, I don't think we're our level 3 dudes. We might win this fight, but we're not going to win it fast. And that's almost as bad as not winning it. We could probably have spent 30 seconds taking a proper grind fight somewhere and then be able to take this fight fast. But like this fight, I would, if I were a betting man, I would probably give superior odds on us being able to win this fight. But it's going to take so much time that we're going to lose the race. So we should have got stronger before we took this boss fight. I would reset it this. I would be like, nope. And that really, I think, prompts your mind. Oh, we didn't save. We've got to reloot now. Shoot. But I think that really speaks as well to like, I think it speaks to, are you ready to take a boss fight? Because like, Humbaba is not a worst case scenario boss fight. So you got to think like, what's the list of bosses that I'm happy to fight right now? And if that list is only like Leader, Tunnel Armor, Kefka, it's like, oof, you know what? Maybe I'm not ready to fight a boss. If I'm okay fighting a boss, but only if it's those 3, that's not good. Because like, chances are it's not gonna be one of those 3. You're gonna fight Tentacles or Stooges or Dullahan or something. And like, you can't just breeze through one of those bosses. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'm talking in circles now. But that's basically, that's it. That's how I look at the opening of a seed. That's the mindset I'm taking. And not to say that that's the only mindset or that's the best mindset. There are faster racers out there and smarter racers out there, but that's the way I approach it. I think you can't go too far wrong, kind of taking the approach we sort of went through today. Again, you'll make adjustments based on your own personal taste. You'll make adjustments based on one seed to another, but I think that's usually a pretty safe approach to take. So yeah, that's it. That's what I got. So I will put this up on YouTube. So check it out. Tell your friends. If you're getting involved in stuff like the Moogle Cup or mentoring, feel free to pass it along if it's helpful. And yeah, if you're a new player and you have more questions after, check out the World Collide Discord. You can head over to the Beginner's House channel. We always have folks who are happy to talk about opening a seed, finishing a seed, all that kind of stuff. The Discord community is super friendly, super welcoming. Everybody's always helpy. They're happy to help out. They're happy to help out. Yeah, we have a lot of great racers who are very generous with their time and their expertise. We don't have too many folks who, you know, are very precious about keeping their secrets. So, you know, when we find out cool stuff, we usually share it with the world. And that's why everybody's times are getting lower and lower and lower, because we're all helping each other. So join us on Discord, ask questions, introduce yourself, you know, get involved. We're always looking for new folks to come play the game. Yeah, like I said, this will be on Discord, or this will be on YouTube. I will probably be doing another one of these at some point in the reasonably near future on how to deal with Final Kefka. So just step by step, how to fight Kefka himself. If you like this video, let me know. like, comment, ring that bell, all that kind of stuff. But if you like this, feel free to reach out and let me know if there's other topics you want me to kind of do a video on. I'm happy to do these. This is kind of fun. Happy to dig deeper into the weeds on various topics. So reach out, let me know. And otherwise, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for some great questions, great discussion, and good luck on your openings in your next seeds. Hope everybody has some great races, and hopefully you find VKs and experience eggs in all your Narsh treasure rooms. Anyway, thanks everybody. Take care.